This is Joseph, or Yusuf in Arabic, John the Hut-Dweller. Now I'm angry. Irritated, basically. Not so much angry, but, so, this guy, saw him on YouTube, claimed to be a Gnostic and all this kind of stuff, and I go on and I look at his list of things, this list of things that reviewed his book or whatever. Oh, these are the new ideas that he brings. And one of them is that there's no sexual immorality. There's no such thing as that. That's a false concept. This is where I like Satanism a lot. The Satanists say this perfectly. Uh, I'm not going to say what they say. Oh, well, I'll mention it at the end. Okay. Now, there is no human being on earth, unless you're a sociopath or psychotic, or you're just trying to be evil for the sake of evil, that does not believe in some form of sexual immorality. Uh, Now, many people's minds immediately jump to, oh, that means you hate gay people. My best friend in the world, Sam, is gay. I've known him since he was since we were, what, 3 or 4. We've known each other. We've known each other before we can remember. Uh, he does not believe in rape. He doesn't think that's okay. Child molestation. He has morals. He has an idea of sexual morality. Now our modern concept is different from the ancients, probably, or varying religious views have different beliefs in this. But this is where it when people say crap like this, you know that there is no, I mean, they're trying to get people in as if they're being progressive or not progressive or whatever. But since when did progressive just mean as long as you do something wild or radical or extreme, oh, you're progressive? That's progressive. Oh, you don't believe in right and wrong. It's incest, uh, bestiality. These are two that Satanism touches on a lot. Uh, because I remember, I forget what the guy's name is. Dr. Larson was interviewing. That's his name. Dr. Larson was interviewing Nicholas Schreck and Zena LeVay. Nicholas Schreck founded the Werewolf Radio, uh, and Zena LeVay is Anton LaVey's daughter. And they did an interview with this guy, Bob Larson. That's his first name. On this little whatever public access cable show he had, and so Bob Larson's like, oh, so what do you mean? You don't have, you think, a man and an animal, it's fine, and then Nicholas Schreck says no. He says, personally, I don't. I think homosexuality is a weakness, and it's stupid and ridiculous, and it's repugnant, disgusting, and at least unsanitary. That's what he said. That's not what I'm saying. Uh, but no, there's nothing moral or immoral about that. And then he goes on to say, Bob Larson says, well, what about bestiality or incest? And Nicholas Schreck nails it right on the head. He says, man is the only creature so neurotic that he would even think of trying to have sex with something outside of his species. Incest is the same thing. I mean, Darwinism, not even that. Basic evolution has us to be revolted by these things so that we exist as a species, as the human race. That is why, I mean, you could give a physical reason for it, a very natural, basic from the just essence of our being, why we would hate incest and bestiality is because it's a form of suicide. Basically, it's a form of self-destruction on the most basic level. Going outside of your species or going into your family tree. And ancient Egypt, obviously, they had an idea of, oh, well, we've got to keep the blood clean, so you'd have brothers and sisters marrying each other. You'd have things like the Vikings where, you know, the strongest man gets the woman. Native Americans the same way. If you can basically rape somebody's wife, that's your wife. Certain Native Americans, not all of them, of course. Uh, it's been pretty universal that you don't have sex with a girl before she gets her period. It's been pretty widely known. Even in with Prophet Muhammad, the pagans of Mecca were actually outraged. I know people are like, "Oh, but he established order and law." They were angry that he would do something so unnatural as to take a 6-year-old as a bride, and not just as a bride, but then have sex with her at 9. Because there's always been child arrangements and stuff like that. You know, there's been people who get married at the age of 2 or 3. Their parents contractually marry them, then they raise them, and then they meet at 16, and they've already been married, and they do some final ceremony. There's cultures like that. So we have rape, incest, bestiality, pedophilia. But it's funny, these people say, oh, and then I guess the common reaction this person might say, oh, well, obviously I didn't mean something like that. What, what, you just, no. Then you can't articulate what you say. That's like if I told somebody, you know what, you can live your life however you want. If say a father says to a child, you can live your life however you want, no matter what, there's no restrictions. Kid asks, can I be a drug dealer? Well, no, you can't do that. Well, can I be in the army? Well, no, that's war. You can't do that. Can I be a lawyer? Well, no, they cause trouble for people and political strife. You can't do that. Well, can I be a garbage man? Oh, you couldn't be. That's terrible. You know, you make too little money. So it's totally disingenuous what he said, if he has any morals at all, or it's just ridiculous beyond stupidity. I mean, the idea that there is no such thing as sexual immorality. So I guess we can throw away all our laws of against rape, necrophilia. Again, only a human being would be so crazy as to do that. No animal would ever do that. Bestiality, incest, all these things. Now, notice I didn't get to polygamy or homosexuality. Or actually, I guess there's two types. There's lesbianism and being a male homosexual. Uh, there's no need to address those. There's not. Why wouldn't I address those? Well, polygamy is a cultural thing. Uh, you can make arguments for or against it. Uh, Homosexuality is one of those topics where you start arguing and then you get into preferences or religion or any of this stuff like that. And it's totally useless because you're talking about consenting adults. Now, if you say, is there any sexual immorality there? Okay, well, if you marry somebody and take a vow and say, I'm going to be with you, only you, I'm going to, my kids, this and that, be with the kids, and then you start sleeping with the woman. Oh, but the guy still takes sleeping with another woman. Oh, but the guy still takes care of his kids. Okay, so he brings the other woman home and sleeps with her in the house. Or let's say he brings a man and a woman home and has sex with them in front of the kids. Is that okay? It's, oh, but that's because he's doing that. But then you could play the card. Oh, but that's good for kids because our society is so repressed that kids should see their parents have sex in front of them. I mean, you can go off on all these sorts of tangents. And to me, This is why I like Satanism, because they say you already know what's right. Whatever you feel repugnant, that is repugnant. That's push it out. Whatever you want to do, you do. Now that's different from what's his face, Aleister Crowley, who tried to go out and do every evil act. He actually participated in all the list of things that I just said. But this idea of there's sexual immorality. That's been to keep people down. If there were no God, if you were to destroy mankind down to a group of children who didn't know anything, and then they wound up in procreating and reestablished humanity, it's still in us to be it's the normal attraction to developed women, developed men. Well, I can't say men. I don't know how women view men. I don't think women think little boys are hot. But then again, there were a lot of crazy women screaming about that group Hanson, that shitty group Hanson that was back in the 90s. Oh God. Um, oh yeah, and that asshole Justin Bieber. I guess there's a lot of women. Well, I guess what is he, like 18 or something? Uh, where did I get off track? No, but they would still revile uh, things like bestiality, rape. These things would all naturally go out. Now, where would you find things like this? Maybe on people stranded on an island for years, uh, cultures that have been separated. But even then, I mean, once you start getting out, and even in Egypt, it wasn't common for the common people to marry their sisters. That was for royalty, and actually, royalty have always had messed up sex lives. In Europe, you would have the whole court. If you were a king and you married a woman, you would have the whole court watch the first sex act you guys would perform to make sure it consummated the relationship. Now, I'm guessing, or at least hoping, there was the sheet or whatever over them, but yeah, there was something done in Arab cultures. I'm not gonna repeat it right now, but yeah, every person, every person has an idea of sexual morality. And those people who don't just be like, okay, pedophilia, rape, incest, necrophilia, bestiality. I mean, Artie came up with 5 sex laws. I don't know. I'm trying to get my mind to go weird places. Think, oh, is there another type? Man on pumpkin sex is an inalienable right. I mean, that's what I'm gonna say to you. I can have sex with as many gourd, squash, and melons as I can, and that's my right. All right, yeah. So this guy with his religion can he could take all the pedophiles and rapists, and they can be in his religion. Oh yeah, what about asexuality? I actually somebody who was he? He was a close friend of one of my friends, but he was talking about somebody had said, "Oh yeah, the Catholic priests, if only they would be able to marry, they wouldn't be fucking little kids." And he said, "Are you kidding me? It's disgusting. It's not an option like that." And he said, "Plus, how do you know there's not people who are asexual? Isn't that possible? Is it so wrong that somebody is celibate?" And the guy wasn't Catholic or anything. He just made a fantastic point. Well, I don't know. I just made this video because I was irritated. Peace to you.